national anthem. Don't worry, they'll project it. Don't worry. Shall we pray? O God of creation, our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. Please, can we say it again, standing, in honor of our nation, Nigeria? Thank you. Can we sing it? Derek, please.
Oh God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help us the truth to know. In love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, with lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall
Amen. Amen.
Good evening, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's with great joy and humility this evening that I welcome you to this second event of the Triwisdom Life Foundation. We had our maiden event mid last year and thought it was important to bring you up to speed on our progress. Thank you all who were here with us last year and have come again this year. Thank you. May God bless you. And thank you to all who are partnering with us for the very first time. May God bless you thoroughly. Our visioner will address us shortly to speak to why we have asked you to join us this evening. But before that, I want to talk to you briefly about the kind of facility we are working to create. There are different places for the elderly in Nigeria. There's no doubt about that. And I've been to a few. There is one in Yaba that we spent his 60th year birthday. But our intention is to create something unique, an environment where we can gladly send our loved ones, where they will be groomed, spirit, soul, and body. Growing old is an inevitable aspect of a blessed life. I call it a blessed life because there are many people who don't get to grow old, who don't become elderly. Another thing about growing old is that we are affected one way or another, directly or indirectly. This inevitable situation of growing old could also be very lonely. Hence the drive to create a very conducive environment that can cater for our loved ones and even us ourselves as we approach the elderly stage in our lives. So thank you all who have given. Thank you all who have prayed, counseled, guided us, worked tirelessly to bring this project to fruition. The journey is just beginning, and we need you to make this happen. So at this point, I would like to invite the visionary of the Triwisdom Foundation, my pastor, Pastor Itwa Igodalo, senior pastor of Trinity House Church, to shed more light on why we are here. Thank you once again. Thank you once again. We truly appreciate you for honoring our invitation. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I think we should give Ihoma a round of applause and really thank her. Ihoma Okorafor, by the way, is the chairman of the committee that's trying to set up the Triwisdom Foundation Center. I'm just here to welcome you all and to thank you all very much for coming. A lot of you are friends, family, sisters of mine, and the response has been very, very encouraging as to what we're trying to do. It's a vision that's been on my mind for at least 10 years, and I can give a little bit of the background as to how it started. But just allow me to digress for 2 minutes, because today Sunday became a bit emotional for me, because I haven't been in this room for 13 years. I was last in this room on the 19th of July, 2010. That was my late wife's birthday. And this is where we had the birthday celebration. It was the day after we started Trinity House. And then she turned 30 the next day. And I had a surprise party for her here. And my brother dragged her through that door, and she almost collapsed because she didn't know where she was coming. My brother told her maybe that I was in trouble somewhere. And she beat me up that night. So just allow me to share the moments and just digress. It's been 13 years since I've been in this room. It's amazing how time really does fly. Anyway, everybody who knows me or who knows the new and reformed Itwa, because some people in this room, some people in this room knew a certain Itwa. You know, when I became born again, some people said poverty drove me to Christ. I said it's okay. Anything that drives you to Christ is a good thing. It's still just okay. And some people said, don't worry, he'll soon come back and join us. They were hoping so, but God didn't answer their prayer, because there's some prayers God doesn't answer. And one is that certainly Itwa is not going back there where he was coming from. All I know is that when I found Christ, I found peace. A peace that passed all understanding. And that's why when I see a lot of people in Lagos who are bouncing up and down, wearing their agbada, wearing their suits, running up and down, pretending to be important people, I can tell straight away that they're not very peaceful people. Because that's exactly how I was. Wearing agbada up and down, wearing suits, pretending to be important. And one story I tell is the story of Sonny Ade. It was at Bankole Aluko's traditional wedding or wedding party. You know, Bankole Aluko, my good friend, a lawyer, got married to Biodun Eke, and I was the center of the party. I was the organizer and everything, serving the champagne, keeping everything. So eventually, Sonny Ade decided to sing that Igodalo is a gentleman. Igodalo is a gentleman. Whether he be a lawyer or an accountant, Igodalo is a gentleman. That's classic 419. Because he knew there were two Igodalos in that place. And one was a lawyer, and one was an accountant. So they said, who is spraying me? He said, Igodalo, don't spray. So he said, Igodalo is a gentleman. And my head was growing bigger and bigger. Igodalo is a gentleman. Then he was wondering, which Igodalo is this? Anyway, whether he be a lawyer or an accountant, Igodalo is a gentleman. And I sprayed Sonny all the money I brought to that part. Because indeed, I'm a gentleman. I went home to Jibo Street with nothing in my pocket. It was when I got to Jibo at 4 a.m. that I said, Itwa, what did you do? All your money you gave to a man simply because he called you. About a month or 2 months later, I saw Sonny in Abuja in the airport. And I went to Sonny. I said, Sonny Emini. He looked me up and I said, and who are you? But I was empty inside. Absolutely empty. But I'll wear the agbada, I'll wear the suit, I'll wear the jeans, and I'll do the Lagos. But I was very unhappy. So I know that many people who are very, very unhappy who are doing the Lagos. And it doesn't matter how much money or how much power they have. And that's why most of them are always looking for something or the other, looking for something or the other, looking for something or the other. And they never have enough because they're looking for something. And that thing is called Jesus and purpose. If you don't have Jesus and you don't have purpose, you will never be satisfied. You'll continue looking for something else or the other. So when I found Jesus and I began to move in purpose, I said, I'm not going back. Nothing, by God's grace, will make me go back. And the purpose led to various visions after the other, after the other, after the other. And each one directed at something simple: making life better for the other man. Making life better for the other man. Making sure that the other man is okay. A lot of people say that, how do you do it? I said, I just do it. Because my next thing is to make life better for the other man. Very simple. And to make sure that they are comfortable. And to make sure that as best as I can, I quarrel with no one. And the reason why I don't want to quarrel with people is so that I can make life better for them the next time I see them. So that I don't see them and avoid them, or they're in trouble and I cannot help them, or I'm in trouble and they cannot help me. So the quicker that we finish our quarrel, the better it is, so that we can make life better for one another. So I went to visit a lady one day. Her children attended the church, and I just went to see how she was doing. She must have been about 73 or 74 at the time. Extremely pretty lady. But by this time, she was sick. She had suffered a stroke. And she was there in her room all by herself. The children were coming, they were going. So I sat with her, we spoke, we chatted, and then she looked at me and says, Alufa, don't you people have anything for old people like me? Here I am in my room, all by myself. Children are coming, children are going. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm stuck here, and I'm growing old, and I have nothing to look forward to. Why don't you think of starting something that we elderly people can be going to from time to time and get ourselves engaged and busy and not be a liability to anybody? And I said to her, if it will make you happy, I will do it. And that is how this journey began. I thought it was going to be an easy journey. It was going to be simple, but it has turned out not to be quite so simple. Then one day I belonged to a club called the Metropolitan Club. And it's an all-men's club, so they have certain secrets, but I won't I won't reveal their secrets, but one of them is that they have lunch every Tuesday. All men have lunch every Tuesday, and you must wear your suit, or you wear full traditional. That is the rule in Metropolitan Club. And a lot of young men in Lagos, middle-aged men in Lagos, and elderly men in Lagos, every Tuesday, like clockwork, go to Metropolitan Club, like clockwork. They go, because the place has an incredible atmosphere. It's difficult to describe. You sit, you eat, you talk, you chat. Those who want a bit of brandy, do the bit of brandy, and so on and so on. But there's a table called Table 1. And Table 1, you find octogenarians, the eldest of the club, old people. If I mention names, you'll know most of them. Table 1. And usually the captain of the club or the president sits on Table 1. Doesn't matter how old he is, he sits with them. But then you find that among those men, some of them have gone nowhere except that Tuesday lunch. They don't play with it. They go to it because that is their main activity for that month. Some of them are coming on wheelchair, walking stick, blah, 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 retired this, retired that, but they sit in their full agbada or suits on Table 1. It then occurred to me that that thing that lady was describing to me was what these elderly men were doing every Tuesday at the Metropolitan Club. They don't go anywhere else. But Tuesday Met Club, they must be there. So I said, this thing, we must try and make it happen. It's not an old people's home, but it's an old people's center where when you get to that age, and by the way, we're all getting there. We're all getting there. Small, small. When you get to that age, you are not depending on any child or anything. Maybe there's a limo service or a bus service. They pick you up at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. You go there, you do Ludo, you do swimming, you do aerobics, you have some, what you may call good food, not kokoto, shaki, abodi, nkanka. Healthy food. You have a masseur, you have a health advisor. You even have a lawyer who can advise about things to do with end of life. Because a lot of parents don't do anything with end of life. Only my parents did something great with end of life. And what they did simply was have no will. No will. So when my mother died, Oswe and I were looking at each other. I said, where's mommy's will? Where's mommy's will? Mommy had no will. So how are we going to do things? But it was very simple because my mother has only one asset, one house. She had some farmland in Olomi. She had started selling it. Built a chapel in her house. Her house in the village had been burnt by politicians, so she didn't go there. So the asset was very simple, just one house. Then we said, there must be money in the bank. There must be money in the bank. Let's go and share the money. So we rushed to the bank. When we got there, we saw overdraft. I tell this story all the time. I say, also you are the eldest. Take the overdraft. You are the elder. Take the overdraft. Yes, you're right. I won't fight with you. Diokwa. Take it. He said, you are silly. Come on, we share it. No argument. My father did the same thing. He didn't have overdraft, but he has only one asset or two assets also. So no problem at all. Anyway, so I then said we should have this thing for the elderly, where they can go and so on and so forth. And then after a while, maybe build a city. Somebody is doing it in Abeokuta somewhere, where the elderly can be living unassisted and all that, and still have a good quality life. Because after a while, that big house, you know, I have an uncle, had a huge house in Ibadan. If I mention his name, you'll know him. Lives in a flat in VI. So I went to visit him one day. I said, Uncle, how are you? He said, I'm fine. How's life? I said, I'm fine. I said, how are you doing? He said, thank God. So, you know, I woke up one day, I couldn't lift my hand. I said, but why are you living in this little flat? He said, what more do I need? I said, that house in Ibadan with the swimming pool. He said, rubbish house. Difficult to maintain. I've given it to your friends. They can do whatever they want with it. Because that's when you realize that your needs are little. Very, very little. Very little. All you need is good health. That's the most important thing. The rest is okay. I was talking to a wealthy Nigerian one day. He was wearing a pair of cufflinks. He said, Pastor Itua, this life is very funny. He said, do you realize that I've been wearing these cufflinks for 2 weeks? Because I can't find my other cufflinks. I've been wearing it up and down the office. 2 weeks. So you know what? Nobody asked me, why am I wearing the same cufflink? He said, nobody even noticed that I was wearing the same cufflink. Then let me end with this one. As I said, we all get in there small by small. Some of you I knew when you were 18, when you were 16. When I tell people my age, they don't believe it. They say, I say, yes, that's what I am. I know what got me very worried was that when I first got born again, they were looking at me and saying, Brother Itua, Brother Itua, Brother Itua. I said, no problem. The girls do it deliberately because they knew who I was. They call me brother, so they would disarm me. I said, I'm not your brother, I'm Itua. Don't call me brother. Then after a while, they started calling me Pastor Itua, Pastor Itua, Pastor Itua. I said, no problem. I'm not a pastor. Call me Pastor Itua. Then what started getting me worried, one day I got to church, they said, Daddy. I said, who's your daddy? Daddy, Papa, Daddy, Papa. I said, don't call me Daddy. I said, Daddy, our Daddy. But about 3 months ago, I got to somewhere. They said, Pa Itua. I said,
Thank you, Papa. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining us today. I know. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so very much. I just crave your indulgence for a few minutes to just run through a bit more details of what the vision that PI has shared with us. So we're titling our presentation, The Vision and the Journey, because this time last year, we shared the vision. Those who were here then bought into the vision. Now is the journey from the sharing. The care for those who once cared for us is one of the highest honors ever. And Walt Disney said that laughter is limitless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. The mistake we make is that we think that once you are old and retired, you should stop dreaming. So we want to ensure that all our elders keep dreaming. The background. Why? What's the situation with the elderly in Nigeria? A few statistics I just want to share to set context to where we are. Nigeria is Africa's leading economy and the most populated country, we all know this, with the highest number of older people in the continent. I mean, it stands to reason. If we have the biggest population, we'll have the highest number of older people in the continent. And we're the 19th across the globe, with the population of Nigeria, aged 65 and older, forecasted to triple by 2050. That's just a few 27 years away. We are ill-prepared as a nation to meet the needs of the elderly population, with fewer than 1 in 5 receiving pension. Harsh economic conditions, urbanization, etc., has caused a migration to the urban areas, which is further distancing us from our elders. And now we're leaving their care to paid people and relatives. And in fact, we're talking about a sister and I mentioned to us that she's not happy about the people looking after her mom. This is as of today. And they don't think they're doing a good job. Okay. The elderly are increasingly at risk of depression due to what? Loneliness. The biggest challenge, apart from health, which is natural, is loneliness. Because we're too busy to spend time with them. And friends have passed on, have moved away, is loneliness.
Why Triwisdom Life Foundation? Older people and their families face the challenges in coping with functional, physical, and psychological health status in the aging process. As PI says, we're all aging. These factors include changes in family dynamics, increased demand for medical services, economic stress, and decreased functional independence. Active aging, in a study by World Health Organization, describes the interaction amongst factors such as maintenance of health and well-being, involvement in social activities, and overall security or protection, which promote optimal health and well-being during that aging process. So, there's what is called the Rowe and Kahn model that says successful aging interconnects three factors: avoidance of disease, active participation in life's activities, and high level of physical and cognitive function. There's a reason I'm putting this down, because I'm going to tie it all together. It's further theorized that with positive spirituality and psychological health, the outcome for active aging will be more positive. So, the influences of these biological, psychological, and social factors on the aging process can influence an individual's well-being, quality of life, and health outcomes. Population of Nigeria's older person is expected to reach 26 million by 2050, from 9 million as in 2016. That's the growth trajectory. And this population change has several implications, thus the need to pay attention to healthy aging. That's the crux of the matter. Remember, it is not how old you are, it's actually how you are old. What is needed to address the elderly situation in Nigeria is a well-articulated vision and purposeful action to give the elderly an acceptable quality of life. Implementation of adopted national policy measures to protect the vulnerable elderly people, and of course, comprehensive legal framework to promote the rights of the elderly. So who are we? As we have said, it was a vision birthed by PI that he has shared with us. So to actualize this vision, we're in the process of establishing a purpose-structured, fully equipped, age-conducive activity center and day spa. In essence, a club. So it will comprise of a lounge, movie room, kitchenette for those who are healthy meals, chapel, remember the current model, the spirituality, game room, wellness bay, relaxation center, age-appropriate swimming pool, and library, etc., in a very serene environment. The mid-term goal is to establish such centers all over Nigeria, with the long-term goal to build a world-class residential homes and cities like our own Florida for the elderly. We have the right weather, it's just the right city. Our vision: to improve the quality of life of elderly Nigerians by maximizing their physical, cognitive, spiritual, and social well-being. Remember, age is simply the number of years the world has been enjoying you. It's not a limitation or a hindrance. So the mission is to provide activities and supportive services that promote the well-being of elderly Nigerians in a safe and nurturing environment. It is important to have a twinkle in your wrinkle. The key objectives: improve the quality of life of the elderly, create a convivial environment for elders to socialize and have companionship. Social club day spa, a place to meet and relate with peers and make new friends. Participate in age-relevant sporting activities for entertainment, recreation, and sensory stimulation. Of course, access to basic and routine health screening. Free professional advice and referrals on social issues like pension, estate planning, etc. Because most people actually arrive there and are not ready for where they find themselves. You know, I remember when I asked my husband, I think you should make a will. He has not looked at me the same since then. I said, Oga, I have made my own will. I think you should make a will. Till today, he has not looked at me because people keep pushing that day as if it will never come. So, warm, caring, and safe place for special focus on their mental and social well-being. Of course, to imbue a sense of purpose and usefulness, and ultimately to serve as a fulcrum for advocacy for what is needed for the elders. Remember, again, laughter is timeless. The proposal: what are we looking to do? Phase 1, which is the immediate phase, between June this year that's this month, and December 2025. Phase 2, January 2026. Phase 3, that's the long term, post 2026. So, what's the strategic intent? For phase 1, rent and retrofit a property for elderly to socialize, care, and form as recreation, and then staff it. We need to have a budget of 163 million naira for phase 1. I'm coming to that. So, we want to start with one center in Lagos Island and hopefully expand to one more center in the mainland in phase 1. And of course, to do this, we're embarking on partnerships. That's why we're here. We're looking for sponsors. And of course, efforts are there to kickstart the initiative. Phase 2 is to purchase or build a permanent property because we're renting in phase 1. Of course, continue the expansion by renting and building more centers across the nation. Of course, we cannot do it without partnerships and sponsorships. Phase 3, the long term, build world-class homes and cities for the elderly within Nigeria. A lot of older people, my father-in-law is 93, and he hates to travel. He believes that when he enters the plane, he will die. But he loves to go places. So, and he loves to talk to people. So we believe that this is ultimately where we should be going to. Establish more centers, and of course, partnerships and sponsorships. This time last year, this is what we said we were going to do. We said the center would open daily, Monday to Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. So they have a place to go to at their convenience. We'll have paid and volunteered workers for both service, activities, professionals, health support, etc. Different activities, ranging from watching movies, playing games, age-relevant aerobics and gym, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we'll have motivational speakers and subject matter experts on planned sessions, things that would interest them. Of course, healthcare professionals will be available for routine checks. Check your sugar, check your weight, check your blood pressure. We're going to register with a nearby hospital in case, God forbid, of emergencies. We're very prayerful people, but sometimes it's good to be prepared. So, we'll have counselors and psychologists on scheduled sessions because, as I said, loneliness is a big problem of the elderly. Of course, this is one of our pet projects, Teach and Be Taught. Wisdom abounds in the elderly people. So we're looking for, as an outlet for even school excursions, adopt a granny. You teach the skills you have and learn new things. So why shouldn't your 84-year-old learn computer and coding just for fun? Avenue for social and tourist visits and projects. Show and tell. You know, one of the things that I would like to do is to show and tell. So you can have a day for your own family and your grandparents and your grandchildren. You can tell us about them. You can FaceTime them in Australia and tell us how wonderful they are because they just want to share. Okay? Getting old is like climbing a mountain. You get a little out of breath, certainly, but the view sure is much better from there. So, the expected outcome, this artist rendition. Nice look, convivial, conducive, safe, serene environment. Okay, what do we need to do? Rent a single building in a central location. Retrofit that building to fit the specific purpose. Looking at things like with the ramps for wheelchair. We do the chair lift so that if we have some activities, because we really cannot find a rented property that is on one level. And I cannot make my members to be climbing step. So put things like chair lifts and one-person lifts to take them up and down. Furnish and staff the center. Secure all relevant approvals. Sign on partnerships, my favorite. Advertise the center. Do a soft launch. Resource operational funding. And then do a full launch. This is where we are. Assad, this morning. We have been working, we have found, finally, it wasn't easy because we have to, because of location, purpose, environment, because you wouldn't want to bring your mother or father to Kokomaiko. So I have to put in a place that you feel comfortable bringing your relative to. We finally, I believe we have nailed down on the property in Lekki. that we're all very excited about. It took 1 year, only 1 year to find it. So we have an architect standing by to retrofit. We've started exploratory work. We already have possible medical support signed up. Professionals have signed up. Recruitment agencies are working with us. We're ready to go on that. And as an entity, Triwisdom Living Foundation is registered, and we have all the relevant certifications. We have starting with our advert campaign and planning to do cautious teasers to potential members, because now that we have a location, we're here, so they can come. Of course, the funding push. That's why we're paying all the money to bring all of you here and beg you to help us. Okay. So, this time last year, for our old partners, we had 5 areas of help we needed. So I just want to briefly touch on what we have done with each of those areas. We wanted advice and suggestions. And believe me, that's why we have this here for today. We have fewer people and had a lot of suggestions, right? And sound advice, which we have actually incorporated in the working plan. We wanted prayers, because without prayer, we cannot succeed. And we have partners who have joined us. So we have an online weekly for the past 1 year prayer session for this purpose. And we invite more people to join us. It's virtual, so you can do it from your bedroom. Okay. We wanted volunteers. We have been blessed and gifted with very passionate volunteers, because there's a lot of work to be done at this birthing stage. We needed funding. As at May 2022, we needed 84 million to birth this vision. We raised 14. Not bad. Good start. However, with the exigencies of fuel subsidy and inflation, what we need now is 163 million. I'm going to break it down. We needed referrals, and this is work in progress. And really, this PS2 is basically from the referrals from PS1. So that's working. So I'm hoping, they say, pay it forward. Well, I say, little ripple cast a big one. So by the time everybody in this room refers, I will need to take conference room in Abuja for the next partner session. Okay. So how the center will be funded and sustained, because sustainability, I can't always go begging for us to. We have to, at a point in time, cut the purse strings, the apron strings, and be independent. So we're going to have subsidized services. Members will pay. We're looking at a token of 100,000 a year. That's less than 10,000 a month in the first year. And by the second year, we're looking at membership fees of 120,000, which is 10,000 a month in the second year. Okay? And of course, this is the crux at this infant stage. That's individual and corporate partners and sponsors and contributors. Of course, charitable organizations, and we're also looking at a lot of, we're hoping that we'll get endowments. People remember us in their will and set up foundations for us as well to immortalize their names. In the not long term, in the short term, this center will be self-sustaining and independent. How? Last year, this is how we're going to spend. I won't go into details of spend the 68 million. This year, this is how we're going to spend the 163 million. But let's break it down. I looked at it year 1, year 2. Rent, because we're looking at VI, Ikoya or Nero. This is the best we have been able to find so far. We had thought we'd do maximum of 10 million. But rent, 20 million. Refurbishment, that's retrofitting for the first year, 20 million. Furniture, first year, about 12 million. Salaries, 13. Utilities, 19. This is one of the biggest chunks. Of course, miscellaneous. So total expenses for year 1 will be 87 million. Projected revenue, all things being equal, is at 63 million. Remember that we're doing members at 100,000 per member, at 63 million. Now, year 2, rent remains 20 million. Refurbishment will be a lot, about 10% of that. Furniture. Mr. Deferson, this is what you asked me to do. Did I do well? Okay. I tell you, we imbibed all those suggestions. Furniture, about 2 million, because as membership increases, we need to buy some and replace some things. Salary is 21. I will explain why there's a sharp leap. Utilities, 28 million. I'll explain. miscellaneous 3. So total expense in year 2 is 76 million. Project revenue is 67 million. Startup funding, we need 107, which is this 87 plus the rent for year 2. So for us to birth this vision, we need 107 million naira. That's what, okay, minus 14 that I have. So that's what we need to raise to birth this vision. The assumptions to how we arrived at these figures, Mr. Deferason and Mr. Fido, questions you asked us. So, rent is based on quotes received, said that. Retrofitting is about 20 million. We have the tentative architect's costing. And for year 2, we did about 10% for any adjustments we need to do. Furniture, likewise, based on the actual space and utilization. Salaries, start-off staff strength is 16. We can break it down as well to start off, including service staff, cook, stewards, gardener, etc. Year 2, as we scale up membership, staff strength will move to 21. And we did a tentative in view of what is happening and the inflation and all the plans to increase minimum wage. Labor is going on. So we have built into our projections a 20% salary review in year 2, depending on what is happening. Utilities, this was a challenge. So to arrive at it, we use the cost of diesel, so we expect that it will be cheaper, because when we have NEPA, it will be cheaper than diesel. But we use diesel to forecast at 800 naira for 7 hours a day, a consumption of about 10 liters per hour. Do the math. So that's how we came out the utilities. Okay? And then for year 2, we deliberately put a 50% markup. Remember, it's a budget where we're going high. I'm hoping to spend less. Of course, miscellaneous is for things like general admin, expenses, minor repairs, maintenance, etc., at about 250,000 naira a month. Revenue, that's 63 million and 67 million respectively. Year 1, we assume that the start of membership, year 1 is 12 calendar months, not exactly 2023. Whenever we start off, we're expecting to start off with 5 members in the first month and grow 5 members every month thereafter for up to about the 5th month. But from the 6th month, we forecast that we'll have 10 members monthly. So we end with 115 members in year 1. By month 24, we're forecasting that for every month in the 2nd year, we're going to be doing 10 new members, because referrals, word of mouth, adverts, etc., proven concept. So we end month 24 with 225 members totally. And we're assuming that in the 2nd year, at least 70% of our current members will renew their membership. You know, there's natural attrition and things like that. So that's how we came about that figure. So dues, as I said, year 1 is 100,000 a month. Year 2, 120,000 a month. And then the third fulcrum, sorry? Year 2. Per year, yes, per annum. Per year. So in the 2nd year, 10,000 naira a month is membership dues. In the 1st year, sub 10,000, about 8,700 and so a month. Okay. So one of the major things we need to keep us sustainable is donations, corporate sponsorships, and endowment. Remember, we're hoping that eventually we'll get a lot of this. But in our forecast for the budget we're presenting, we did not factor this in. So that is the, how do you call it? The joker that will come and make life a lot easier. But as we said, going by our budget and our projections and the assumptions, which we stand to be advised or corrected, even at a 50% achievement of membership, by year 24, all things being equal, will still be sustainable. Or self-sustaining, sorry. Month 24, thank you. So, the next steps. Again, back to my 107 million naira. So, with Papa's permission, I'm so happy calling him Papa. Okay. With Papa's permission, we probably we probably will lock the door and say, if I don't get my 100 million, nobody lives here today. Thank God it's Friday. So we have 107 million. I have about 12 million left after I pay for dinner. And then, so the urgent need is 95 million. Now, that's why I said 100 million is the minimum we need so that we can go live. And I'm happy to announce that we've actually found the perfect, absolutely perfect location. I'm just waiting for PI to bring it home for us. It's purpose-made. In fact, when we looked at it as a committee, we had goosebumps. It's a question of, see what the Lord has done. So it made the 12 months waiting worthwhile. 7-bedroom house, standalone, brand new. In fact, my retrofitting bill has gone out of the window because very little needs to be done. And guess what? Fully furnished, plus generator. So my furniture bill flies, even if you can get it. But I must pay for it next week. So to combat inflation, we need to fund. And why we need all the money at start is because once we pay 40 million naira rent, we must get the building up and running because the rent starts counting from day one. So we need to have all the money so we can start. If we have that money today, we can go live July 1. So every other thing here, things we need to do, we're ready. Benjamin Franklin said that those who love deeply never grow old. They may die of old age, but what? They die young. Because aging is just another word for what? Living. So, Triwisdom Foundation needs you. We can't do it without you. Please, you need to help us to ensure the well-being of these very vulnerable people. And remember, as Pastor says, like it or not, kicking or screaming, all of us are heading there. Some of us sooner than the rest of us. You know, I was making a joke that the elders group in church, their age keeps changing. The more birthdays that pastor has, the longer the goalposts. He's fighting his old age with everything. But these are 65, is casting iron. So some of us are very far. Some of us are knocking on the door. So, our former president said that aging is inevitable. And so elderly people should not let anyone scare them with the issues of health. I love these two African proverbs that I actually got from Pastor. He says, a village without the elderly is like a well without water. And those who respect the elderly pave their own way to success. And I'm done. Please, comments, contributions, questions. Okay, if you don't ask questions, give me the first 10 million check. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Falaya Janoku. So, interestingly, I mean, a few of us on our table would say we've thought about this sort of thing before, you know, like, yeah, I've worked on it, I've thought about it, and I think in our brainstorming this sort of idea, there are one or two things that I think that we might have sort of thought might work that maybe you haven't thought about. So I'll say mine and I'll hand it over to anybody else who might want to say theirs. So I had thought about this with a friend of mine who just, you know, both of us love old people. And we thought that, you know, this would be a great thing. But when she, so my friend Bimbo Jikutu, she had, you know, and her mother was quite old at the time, she'd said she wanted to go to the state to, you know, one of these buildings that belong to Lagos State, you know, to, for them to use, you know, for this project. So I think, you know, there is perhaps that kind of partnership that might be workable. I'm not sure, but that's just what she had thought about. But what I think is that to have a business running alongside that actually brings in revenue in the first so many years. So I'll tell you what it is. Old people, so there are many societies where they've realized that the value of old people in childcare is remarkable. Both the children and the elderly benefit from both of them being together. So in your first year, when you perhaps have 5 people, perhaps you could be running childcare. You know, running childcare where the elderly are actually volunteering their time. Because when you think about childcare, you think, well, we need to hire for every child, every 3 children, you need 1 person. But what you might have is 5, 6, 7, 8 old people, and they're carrying the babies, they're playing with the children. And the children too, they actually really, you know, love old people, you know, and old people love children. So to think about running a business alongside, especially in the early years before you have capacity, you know, it's something that you might think about. But also, because I looked at it and you want 220-something people in this building. Now, I know that you might not expect all of them to be there at the same time. You know, some will come Monday, then they don't come on Tuesday, but what if they all turn up? That's not going to work. That's another thing. And then I think the third thing that occurred to me is that, so you have this idea that by the second year that you'll have all of these people in, and a lot of them will be able to pay 100,000 or 120,000, but there's a critical mass of elderly people who really don't have any money. So what are you going to do about them? So fundraising, I think, is something that you have to really, you know, think about. And I don't mean fundraising like putting people in a room, giving them dinner and saying, drop a check, but liaising with schools. You know, I mean, I've run programs in a school where we were raising money through the children to buy chickens for a motherless, for an orphanage. You know, so there are ways that you can, you know, liaise with schools. They can begin to, with their children, raise funds in all kinds of ways, and they're your project. I mean, you're their project. So there are lots of, you know, ways that you can look at fundraising where, you know, you're looking at, you know, different parts of society where you're their project, you're their charity. You know, they adopt you as their CSR. Another thing also is that in Nigeria we tend to, I'm sorry, just one last thing. In Nigeria we tend to look for people who are going to drop 1 million, you know, 2 million, 3 million. And I mean, Bimbo is my brother. He's going to drop, he's going to drop some good dosh. But, you know, you don't, there is the 1,000 naira. There's the 5,000 naira that comes in every month. Do you know, where people are, again, you're their, you know, what do they call it in Nigeria? You are their charity. You're their, do you know, so where, but they're committed, you know, to that money every month, sending you 5,000 naira, 1,000 naira, you know, and, you know, that money is coming in every month and you're using it to run your orphanage. So you shouldn't overlook the 1,000 naira people, the 5,000 naira people, you know, the 500 naira, whatever, you know, the small, you know, drops of water that are coming in to run your project. Thank you for listening.
We don't answer to advice because absolutely what she has done is giving us great advice. And, you know, 2 great heads are better than 1. Thank you so very much. I stick off on everything you have said. And as I said, whole new, please, before we continue, dinner is served. So, dinner is served. I think we can go out, serve ourselves, and come back in. But before that, who else? Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say, honestly, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. As Christians, we know what the Bible says about us honoring our parents. It comes with a promise of, you know, long life. Yes, exactly. So what you're doing, I think, is fantastic. I totally agree with everything Fumi has said. And she opened up my mind in terms of trying to get even schools, like we have quite a few schools where you have privileged children, you know, some of our top schools on the island, we know them, but about also trying to approach these schools and seeing how, because children have a way of raising money and they have this compelling nature that just makes you want to give. Yes, exactly. So I was just thinking it might be a good idea to reach out to some of these schools. I'm actually connected to one, and see how they can even buy it and say, you know, we'll adopt a grandma, we'll adopt a grandpa. But for me, what is more important is those who are less privileged, the indigent ones, who actually don't have any, who really, you want to place them in a situation where they never truly had privilege when they were younger, but they're like thinking, oh my God, now I can enjoy all of these benefits that we watch in movies or we hear about. So I can actually live, I can actually spend time in Via in Ikoyi, enjoying all of these swimming pools, spas, and all these wonderful things that you have planned. I think it will totally transform their lives and change them. So I think you ought to use schools, some of these schools that have creative funding, yes. Thank you. And also I was wondering, how long is your lease? You said you have a lease on this. You may have, well, I've gone past that stage. I just, in faith.
What we are negotiating is that 2 years with an option to buy. We're faith people.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you. And then the fittings you're putting in, are they things you can move in case someone decides to donate a place? Suddenly they are so happy with what you're doing, and they said we have a building. Those things that your fittings, are they things you can, you can move?
In fact, we actually wanted a donation of the building, but in Ikorodu, in the first one.
Yeah, that's,
So I'm hoping that that will come. But for this particular one, we have found
okay,
furnished.
okay,
But so that the budget for furniture, we'll keep it for when we do it.
okay.
For branch 2.
By God's grace, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abimbola Usula. Well done to the two ladies that have given extremely salient points. But in addition to what they've already said, I think it will be a brilliant idea if we had other activities, not just for the creche and the old people, the elderly, looking after the young ones and the babies, as already been mentioned, but things like arts and craft, it could be cookery, it could be needlework, which some of our old people are talented and they know. It could be tie and dye. So we should also look into those areas where people will want to be involved with them. That age group, they're a bundle of knowledge which should be shared with the younger generation. It could also be languages like teaching the younger ones how to speak the native dialects like Yoruba. You know, English is fine, but you could go into Yoruba, Hausa, you know, the native things, and bring back all these things which seem to be like of yesteryears or things that we actually grew up with. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Well spoken. In fact, what you're saying is on point, because one of our eldest church members, Mrs. Shobande, we lost her sadly last year. She was 96, and she kept telling me that, Lizzie, your cakes are not good. I need to show you how to bake cake. In fact, when we said teach and be taught, we had her in mind, because they would come and pass on those skills. But thank you so very much.
And we have these people that, you know, because they're buying, we have these people that we're talking about that are an embodiment of knowledge, and we don't, because they're buying into the vision, you don't have to pay them. They're volunteering their time, they're volunteering their knowledge, and it'll go a long way.
Is the mic on? Okay, that's one.
Thank you. Pastor Itwa and gang and group, well done. I mean, like the first person said, it's actually something I'm working on. However, I'm in totally opposite what you're doing in terms of it is elderly, but I did do some research. And you know, I'm in the health space. there are a lot of our elderly people who are sick. And when I say sick, I mean ill. So they have strokes, they have diabetes, they have things like that. And I know for a fact that there are people like us who have parents, and our parents who are healthy and up and about, they do not want to come to a center. Hear me out. I know this is a foundation. I know we're talking about elderly people who are lonely and all that, but you have to look at another group of elderly people. You actually have to divide them into those who, because children work, so they don't know where to put their parents and they're sick, so they want to take them somewhere where it's not necessarily a hospital, but somewhere where they know they're going to get medical care. They're going to get people who give them their medication. They're going to get people who will care for them very well. And I'll come into training because people are nasty to elderly people. And so you have to be really, really careful when it comes to that. So in the hospital where I help out, I know I've talked to so many people, I wish we had somewhere that they can go to rather than being admitted into the hospital. So they're not they're not ill, they're not sick enough to be in the hospital, which costs a lot of money, and they're ready to pay for that. But then they're not well to stay at home. So they stay with the house girls from Jos, from Plateau State, from Cotonou, steal from them, ill-treat them, and all that. So they want a place where, yes, my mother has had a stroke, yes, my dad has had a stroke, but where they're going to, it's almost like a halfway between a hospital and a club. They do not necessarily want a club. The ones you're talking about, trust me, they probably wouldn't come. And then distance, of course. So the first thing I wrote was, okay, an elitist kind of place. Who can afford it? Until you said 100,000. To me, that's little with what you're going to be spending on them, the staff, and all that. That is little. Trust me, people will pay, something higher. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to sustain that. Staff. Your staffing, you want to get the best of the best. Because people are going to come in there. Like well, my mother is 93 and there's no way she's going to come there. She's at home, she has people looking after her, and then I can imagine if I wanted to do that, I'm going to ask you, your staff, who's here, how many people are here, how many do they look after, and all that. It's very, very important to people because you do not want to put your elderly person, whether it's 9 to 4 or 9 to 5, in a place where you're not sure about. And then you do not want them to be bringing their house help with them when they come 9 to 4. It's like, what's the point? So that's one. And then the training of the staff, I've said that you really have to start your training now in terms of, and then people use a lot of volunteers because you've got a place already, you get your, 60 million tonight, or 40 million, you go, you pay for it, the place is open, and then you don't have the staff. So it's something that you should start doing right now. Divide them, the trained staff, who's your doctor on call that can be called if somebody has a stroke while they're there, who's your physiotherapist that's going to be there, and all that. And then how many members? Somebody talked about 200 and something. That is a lot. No way. That no matter how big that place is. So my suggestion, having said all that, which, I love this, is whether you can divide or have an area. I don't know the place, I don't know what the rooms are like. Maybe you need to convert some part of it where those who are needy, like a residential place, whether they've had a stroke, whether so that, it's just a suggestion. I'm telling you, it will go before you. There'll be no space. There'll be waiting thing before your club, your place. I'm just trying. This is future. When you think about it, that is where people want to take their loved ones and all that. That's my own. And the membership is they're just too many. So try and have timelines and all that. But you're on a good pathway. If you need my help at any time, please call on me. It's free of charge.
Thank you. Please, sir, we have another volunteer. But please, they're about to beat me. Can we have dinner and we'll be talking as we're eating? They have been waving and shape. Please, let's eat. Boost. Some table by table. Our people on patient's table, we're reverting. The patient ones will go. Okay, Joy. So please, go have some joy. Okay. Please. Yes, ma'am. Oh, suddenly,
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I came late. I was actually at a party. Okay, so this is a laudable project that you're speaking of here, and there are so many things that we can do with the elderly. Social club is great. Assisters living is good too. They need all of it. I wanted to speak about the creative funding in a 7-bedroom house. Yes? You have different activities going on. You may have you never know, you may find an 80-year-old who likes poker. Right, a games room, the arts and crafts things or whatever. Then you get sponsors that say, you are going to pay for the art room and all the art supplies, and that's your responsibility. If another sponsor, you know, we need you to do this, split it.
Thank you so very much. Because we're looking at the Lagos Business School that, let's say, iFitness Gym can brand the gym. Yeah, it's your gym.
Exactly.
iFitness Gym, bring the gym to the dining room.
Right.
The things will brand the dining room or the kitchen. Absolutely correct. Thank you so much.
Yes. So there's that model, which as I said, we've already thought about. Yes. And then one that may not be so popular with believers. A lottery. Yes, like a lottery. Like, no, not bingo, not bingo. For fundraising, that you say, okay, you get free membership for the year, or whoever wins this lottery is going to get free membership for the year. But you have, you know, to play this lottery, you have to put down X amount of money. By the time they put this X amount of money, the number of people, we raffle draw. Okay, there you go. So not lottery. Thank you for giving me an out. It's not a lottery, it's a raffle draw, sir. No, so that's another way that you can get bulk money. You know, there's a house, I saw an ad, someone wanted to sell a house in the UK and said the house is going for £1. And the people are going to bid. They're going to put in their money and it's a lottery, whoever wins. More people put the money, everybody's £1 was more than the value of the house. So that's an option. Thank you. My 2 pennies.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm so delighted to be here. Shall I declare my age or not? Anyway, I'm over 70, well over 70. And when I was in my 50s, I had a dream. I had a dream of setting up a place where I was looking at my parents' generation and what happened to them. People who were active, who were professionals, and God was good to them. They ended up in VI, Gikoi. There wasn't even any Lekki as such then. And, you know, yes, the men have it. They have their Metropolitan Club. They have their Yoruba Tennis Club. They have their Island Club. I might say Yoruba Tennis Club, well, in my mother's time, my mother happened to be chairman of the women's wing at one time, but unfortunately, it really is not always like that. It depends on who the wife of the chairman is. So my mother said to me years and years ago, even before we were 50, she said, Shade, hold on to your friends. The time will come when their children, your children will be grown up or gone abroad, and you'll suddenly realize you haven't kept up those friendships. Okay, we weren't very good at that, and many of my generation, Jakba has been going on for a while. So, when my mother got to be what I thought was old, where I am now, in her 70s,
again, reality check. Who's left? Because sadly, people start leaving. I've lost quite a few of my age mates and friends. It's a reality. Let me tell you, somebody said they won't go, or people who... Look, let me tell you, there's a group of over 65-year-olds. I was asking, I can't call him Papa. Papa. I was asking him, when we met by chance, there's nothing like chance. I hardly ever see him, sadly, except for funeral. But we met at Ikoyi Club on Monday. And then we spoke on Tuesday, and it was then. How did we even start talking about? I think, no, I just said it because I said, Itra is there. Why hasn't he done something about having a recreation center, a place where we can go when we're in our 70s and we want to get together somewhere? Those of us that are still around. And we want to be useful. Like what you said, I had another dream of grandchildren, not biological. I saw something. We must look into what has been done elsewhere. In Japan, they actually, yes. And it works because there are people who are retired who, they have too much time on their hands. So please don't think that this thing will not work. I have a group of friends who started, sadly, too late, because by then we were all retired and everything. But they started something, and I couldn't believe that you guys don't know about it. But boy, oh boy, I'm going to make sure you connect. Because they started a couple of years ago, but they didn't have, I say they're 70 plus. When you're out of service, you're not running your company actively, you're going to do, what do they call it? Your child has a baby, you go to America for 3 months and all that. Sometimes you lose focus on your own life. And then when we get together, it's like, oh, so they started something. Itwa, I'll put you in touch. You have retired doctors galore there. And some of them are even specialists in geriatrics. But they haven't been able to do anything. I keep on asking them. I went to something like this that they had a couple of years ago. And I said, this dream I had of having a place, a physical place, where people can come and just get together. A piano. Quite a lot of people played piano in my time. I didn't, I was a rebel, I played violin, but then forget that story. But a piano, it can do wonders. And now we've got all the other stuff. So congratulations for how far you have gone. I am overjoyed that it's in Lekki because I just moved from VI to Lekki. So, but please, let us see how we can, because this is actually for people who can afford to pay something. But let's see how we can bridge the gap. They may not be members, but we as elders that have been able to, by God's grace, become members, we should have programs that link us with our mates who are less fortunate, without looking down on them at all. I really feel so. And there are a lot of people who are working with the elderly. I have somebody that I've just been helping her do her profile because I recommended her to talk to people who are about to retire. And I looked at it and I said, wow, she's got the whole shebang because she's just turned 60, but she is a naturopath. Am I saying it right? A naturopath. The number of certifications and things she's done is amazing, but her heart is, she started a program for the elderly, and she's done several things. So I said, look, just hold it. there's somewhere I think you will fit in very well. And I know that she would be very happy to work with you because she has practical experience. And as far as the wellness thing is, not only her, but her colleagues, you know, they're all SMEs that I've had the privilege of mentoring or somehow accompanying on their journey. So I'm with you 100%. And I thank God that I met you on Monday and we spoke on Tuesday. Sorry I've spoken so long.
Please, you can speak some more.
No.
Thank you very much. Please. Inika, sorry. You are pointing to me. She has volunteered. Okay, they answered your question. Okay. Any other comments, please? I told you. It wasn't flesh and blood.
We're talking about raising funds, and yeah, how did you mean? Oh, I said Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which I happen to have been a member for over 30 years, and I've served on the council for over 20 years, and they've given me a title, which when I got that title, I said, oh my God, I really am old. Because honorary life vice president, I said, what? You know, but honestly, and with that, for me, I was very humbled. And I realized that I need to use that position, both within and outside the chamber. This is an opportunity for me to go back to my chamber, to my fellow council members, and I'm not so old there. We have 85, 6, 7 old people, older than me. And there will always be. So this is going to really resonate with them, because a lot of them too do not get out and about the way they used to, and they live in Ikoyi, VI, and all that kind of thing. And unlike me, I haven't been that successful, big company-wise, but they have companies, and I know that we can reach out to them. And like you said, you can actually look at the companies. What do you need? Okay, you're this. Furniture, well, you say you don't need it very much now, but I've thought of somebody, because it's just reaching out to the right person. Because don't forget, it's also advertisement for them. You've got to have something. They've got to have something that they see. They have something, getting something out of it. So, and you don't have to do much to persuade them. So, Lagos Chamber, we will see how we have a very active women's group, and this is the kind of thing we can invite you to do. A program, and yeah, I'm with you all the way.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adekunbi Twakli Lawson, and I've listened, and I've actually been a part of this for some time. And sitting here, I realized that we talked about some things and omitted some which I thought about, and so I said I should add those little things. And firstly, I don't know if we've looked at the government, how we could kind of get them involved. We're in a new dispensation, and I'm sure we could talk to 1 or 2 people that could actually be interested and could push this dream forward. Then I'm also looking at, someone mentioned something about knitting, recreational activities. Yes, you see, all these things that these old people are going to be using, they are produced by some companies. So I think if we could also get those companies to, we could have a barter arrangement, and through the barter arrangement, we could get what we need, either in cash or kind, from these companies. And also, like I did say, the media. The media is a very, very strong tool, which we cannot omit. We need to use the media, because it's the media that will actually help us push this thing, inform people about such an organization, get people interested, get prospective sponsors, and all of that. So I think with those 3 additions, we could move forward.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Finally.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Judith Ogbara. Okay, I must commend our sisters for what they are doing, but I was writing down some questions when she was speaking. I noticed that the government, if you are coming up with laudable ideas, they usually come into partnerships. I'm thinking, instead of paying rent that you do not know where the next one will come from, why can't they give us land space? They have a lot of land in Lagos, so that we can do something permanent. All this money we want to contribute. I thought it would be nice to have a permanent place, not just a social club, but also a place where those who can't look after their elderly ones, is it going to be a living space? Because recently I lost a really good friend of mine, and I had to go and see her mom, but it was in England, and I remember her telling me her mom didn't live with her, but then she fell sick, and I went to see her, and they have this place. In fact, you have to be old to be able to access that place. And I was thinking about it, that maybe it would be really dreary, not nice and everything, but it's a really beautiful place where they have all these recreational centers and all of that. And that's where her mom lived. I was thinking that, is it just a club to go to, or these elderly people will be able to stay there? Because some of us, work, and sometimes you feel guilty that your mom is being left alone. So those are really the questions I had wanted to ask. I wanted to know whether it was possible. This is a new government, like the lady said. This is something that we're trying to do for our elderly people. Will they be interested? Not that we will not contribute, but will they be interested, so that it could be a partnership? It's not just about refineries and schools. This is a really good one. This is what I was asking. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Where am I heading to next? I do pass the that's typical. He's volunteering you. Typical. So, please, when you finish, pass it to him.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elaine Shobanjo. And Pastor Ito, I think this is a beautiful idea. I run a beauty business called Shomaya. And for me, I think it's never too old. It's never too late to remain, glam. So when the time comes, if you want to partner with a beauty business where the elderly can get, manicures, pedicures, little hand and feet massages, and just things to make them feel pretty and glam in that hour that they're there, or however long it takes, I'll be very, very delighted to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That's the spa part of the center, the pampering part. Thank you so very much. We shall be reaching out to you very quickly. Okay. Gentlemen, I have not heard a man speak. Come to think of it. Gentlemen, please. Now, all our few gentlemen are avoiding my eye. Why now? Okay. Any other comments, please? Any question, any suggestion? Honestly, we're also very thankful for all the advice and the contributions, because there's nothing like having a vision and let people buy into it and expand it for you. Thank you so very much. But we'd like to have some more. Okay. So at this point in time, I'm going to cede the floor to Dr. J to share what happened between PS1 and PS2. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you once again for coming. About a year ago, I was seated like this. I was invited just like you have been invited by Pastor Itwa. In fact, I came from outside Lagos, and I was almost like the last person that came into the hall. But immediately I got to know about the vision, you know, there was just a passion that just grew in me. And I trust God that that same passion is growing in you all tonight. For me, the mantra I took away was, if it's in your heart, it will be in your hand. Some of us here may not necessarily be the ones that will bring in all the funds that we need and all that. But we certainly know one or two people here and there that we can connect with. And I started praying after the first PS1 that, Lord, how are you going to use me? I really want to be part of this. I really want to participate. You know, Nehemiah 4:6 came alive in me. We came together, we did it, and because our mind was set out to do it. And I want that to be something someone will take away from here. So when it was my birthday this year, I just thought about it that I could use my birthday to raise funds for this project. And I told everybody that, you know what, everyone who wants to give me a birthday present, please convert it to cash and donate it to the Triwisdom Elderly Center project. Thank you for some of the creative ideas that some of us have suggested here. And I want to thank God. People donated that day. In fact, one of our donors is here, Captain Imai Ihenacho. Thank you very much. He donated 5 million naira that day. And I know there will be several others tonight. I know he's going to donate more tonight by the grace of God. And there are several others here and not here that we can all connect to. Some of the ideas that you are giving to us, I'm sure some of us can also adopt those ideas and begin to use those ideas to help us to create funds to enable this project to take off. When Sister Lizzie told me about the particular property, I said to her, there's a dressed donkey. There's a dressed donkey. And of course, there's a fish with a coin. And when Apostle Peter was going to be used by Jesus, he had toiled all night and caught nothing. But when Jesus said, let me use your boats, upon his release of his boat, and Jesus used that boat, thereafter there was a great reward. I trust God that each one of you, here, not here, people that you're going to help us connect with, God will use you just like he used Peter, and we trust God as you give your boat to Jesus to use, the reward, net-breaking reward, you will also receive. I know what I have received, including honorary doctorate after I did that. And I really want to thank God for that. So I didn't go empty. And I trust God that as you also contribute tonight, you are contributing to a worthy cause and to people who have integrity. Thank you very much. If it's in your heart, it certainly will be in your hands. Thank you. Okay, please do fill the forms that we've given to you, and so that we can have records of everyone. Forms, the little slips we gave you as you were coming in. These little slips is very important to us. Thank you, and please don't forget to refer people. There are a lot of people out there who want to support such projects. Thank you very much. If it's in your heart, it will be in your hands.
Thank you so much. Still taking advice, suggestions, comments, help. And whilst we wait for, please help us fill out your name, email address, and phone number so we can reach out to you. And also, we have a platform for all the partners so we can carry you along with everything we're doing and constantly seek advice and update you. So I'm also going to be extending a request for your permission to add you to that partners platform so you can receive routine information from us and talk back to us promptly on any matter, because the journey is just started. Of course, journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. There's one phrase I like. It says that people run out of living before they run out of life. That means you are still alive, but there's no living in you. So it's a very important task to ensure that for every second we still have life, we're living it to the fullest. Please, I hope I have your permission to add you to the partners platform. Thank you. Floor is still open.
So good evening, everybody, and permit me to sit down. My name is Ngozi Onyea. So the first thing is to say kudos and well done to this group. When Mrs. Akinwumi saw me, she said, I knew you'll be here. We both still have a retirement village to develop. We do? Yeah, okay. But I think this is a fantastic first step. When I did my entrepreneurship project in business school, I wrote on a retirement village. This was almost 20 years ago, and it's still something for me to do in the future. So I'm very glad. I will be happy to partner with you on many levels. Just two small comments. First is, can we replace elderly with seniors? Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then secondly, while it's very important to keep talking about where people will put their parents, some of us are close enough to say, why do you want to join the membership of this club? In a couple of years, I'll qualify, and that couple of years is not too many more, and I'll be happy to join. So I think, because you see, what you find is people are averse to, we think it's un-African, whatever that means, to put our parents elsewhere. So the thing to do is to say, put yourself, buy in. And I'm sure there are at least 10% of the people here who are not very far from 65. I will buy in 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. So you can actually, ahead of time, make yourself a potential member. So there's no stigmatization. Yes, absolutely. Floor still open. Okay.
Can we thank you for honoring us with your presence? How? Thank you so very much. I'm really hoping that you had a good time. I'm hoping you are glad to be here, just in the same way that we're glad to have had you. Because you're such beautiful guests, for all the suggestions, for all the volunteering and offering yourselves, I just want to say a big thank you and please, can you join me to just give them a big clap, please. Thank you very, very much to all our distinguished guests. Thank you so much. So just on behalf of Triwisdom Life Foundation, as you know, we're really here because of the elderly, and we are also going to sort of ease into that one day soon. I just want to say again, thank you. We're looking forward to the life partnering journey that we'll all go on together by the grace of God. And just to say that, for the time that you've put in here, this is how your own children will put in time for us by the grace of God. So thank you so much. Look forward to another time. Look forward to getting in touch with you. Please, as we take your numbers, please pick up the phone when we call, and please, just check in with us. And you've also given us permission to add you on to our committee members. And that's really not for us to pester you, but just so that we can keep you up to speed. Once again, thank you. And I'm going to call you mommy, but you're not mommy really. There's a funky mommy who's in her 70s, but she's not really a funky mommy. She's more than that. I'm going to put you on the spot because I just love you. You're such a diva mommy, looking mommy. And thank you so much for all the suggestions and for volunteering all that you're, bringing to the table. Thank you very much. You're an inspiration to the rest of us. Thank you so much. I know I wasn't going to say anything more than just to say that we love you and to say thank you. Just as we round up, Pastor Itwa will give us the closing prayer. And again, thank you to all of you. We look forward to seeing you all this time next year and to also be online chatting back and forth. Thank you and thank you and thank you. Good night. And as you all go home, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord continue to be with you in all that you do and in all your endeavors. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you. Pastor Itwa, if you won't mind giving us a closing prayer, please.
I think that one is easy. So close in prayer. Let me thank everyone for coming today. It's been a really, for me, wonderful evening. It's just not been to share this idea, raise money. And my ladies have told me that I mustn't give any minimum. That 150 million, we must raise it tonight. So those of you who haven't left, we're going to lock the door and ensure that we get the money tonight. And I think it is possible because I have a small idea of the financial capacity of a few of us here. We've been walking this journey for a long time. I have a small idea of the financial capacity of a lot of us here. Some people used to own the whole of Agbo at a certain time. I think there's still some residual there. So I'm hoping that sincerely we can dig deep to try and make this happen. Quite a few of you have told me that this is exactly what they were looking for their mothers or their fathers and things like that. And I think it's an idea that is worth pushing. And it can grow and grow and grow and grow into different aspects. As I said, we're thinking almost of a community, a village, a VGC sort of thing that will be suitable for the elderly, where they can live their lives unaided, move around, go in their buggy cars, go to the social center. There'll be a specialist geriatric hospital to look after the ones that my dear sister was mentioning about. And then people can be happy in retirement and not be dependent on anybody as we all gradually move in that direction. God giving all of us long life and most importantly, good health. What I didn't tell my sister Shade when we saw on Monday, and I'll tell you publicly, is that that's the first time I'm going to Ikoyi Club in about 10 years. Wow. And the people who took me there were my children. They insisted on going to swim. The first time in 10 years. At least to that section of Ikoyi Club. The last time I went to the golf session was when Aswe was 64 years ago. I hardly go there. So it was absolutely divine. The first time in 10 years. I don't go there. I took the membership for my wife. And since she passed, before I married her, I didn't bother to go. It was my neighbor Ade Ajayi Ade Alakija that insisted I must join the Ikoyi Club. Because we were neighbors. So he got the membership, everything for me. But I never went because I was too busy doing other things. So I go maybe once in every 5 years, But the first time in about 10 years, that day. And look at what God did. So when you were telling me that, I was just looking at you and saying, well, you don't know what a coincidence this is. You know? Yeah, that's what you called it. That's serious English. When I looked at it, I said, Eleyo Yemi. But whatever it is, it must be a good thing. So I want to thank God for making all our paths cross. And I do believe that together we'll try and make Nigeria a better place. That really is my dream, to make Nigeria a better place, where we can all live in peace and do our craft in peace. And by God's grace, it will be so. In the name of Jesus Christ. So tonight has been a wonderful reunion for me, meeting a lot of my old friends that we haven't spoken for many years. Thank you so much for coming. God will bless you all. In Jesus' name. To God be the glory, great things He has done. So loved He the world that He gave us His Son, who yielded His life for sin and open the light gates that only go away. Praise the Lord. 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 Let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord. 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 Give him great things. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Come on, praise the Lord. People rejoice. Oh come to the Father. And give Him the glory. Great things He has done. Father, we thank you for doing great things. We commit the Triwisdom Foundation into your mighty hands. We thank you for your children that have taken the time, trouble, effort, energy to be here. We thank you for their lives. We thank you for the salvation of their souls. We thank you for good health. We thank you for long life. We thank you for their families, their children, their spouses, and all that belongeth to them. My Father, my God, as they give into your work, please give into their lives. Prosper them. Bless them. Make them a blessing. They will never know a better yesterday. They'll have no regret of spending this time with us. And from wherever the resources come from, multiply mightily in Jesus' name. And let your will be done. Let your dreams concerning the elderly be fulfilled. Let there be peace in Nigeria. Let Nigeria be great again. In the name of Jesus Christ. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Almighty make His face to shine upon you. May my Father be gracious unto you, give you peace, give you joy, protect you, guide you, give you wisdom, and bless you mightily. In Jesus' name, I have prayed. The Lord bless you all. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.